If you're looking for an inexpensive home security system, well, I got one for you. Wyze Home Monitoring. Let's take a look. Hey, it's Andrew. Glad to see you. And if we're meeting for the first time, glad to meet you. I'm all about technology, so consider subscribing for free, of course, and drop me a comment because I love hearing from you guys and I thrive on your feedback. Wyze was generous enough to send me their Wyze Home Monitoring Starter Bundle with 1 year of their professional monitoring service so that I can review it. I will say this was one review I did not want to rush. There are a lot of things going on here and I want to try to experience all of them so I can let you know what I think. So what is it? The Starter Bundle is basic kit you can buy for this home monitoring system, but since its release, Wyze has offered the ability to customize it with additional sensors to fit your needs. So keep in mind, I received only the Starter Bundle and some of my thoughts are based around the benefits and limitations of just this. Let's start with what the Starter Bundle includes. You get the hub, a keypad, 2 entry sensors and 1 motion sensor, and 1 Camm Plus license that you can use with any Camm, Wyze Camm on your account. At release, this was an awesome deal, and Wyze was offering all of that for free with the purchase of 1 year of the monitoring service. That was only $60 at the time. You'll have to keep an eye on their website because that promotion does change. When I recorded this, the starter kit was half price, but they offered a free leak sensor and probe. So today, you can get Wyze Home Monitoring with the Starter Bundle and 1 year professional monitoring plus leak sensor and probe Camm Plus license for only $100. Now, that's up from $60, but again, they included the leak sensor that's additional, but still a great deal in my opinion. And remember, there are no contracts with this. You can cancel it at any time. There are no commitments. Of course, unless you paid for that 1 full year. So let's talk about what you get for that $100. For starters, you get professional home monitoring. But what does that mean? That means you have a security system, but it's way less than paying for something like ADT or even Simply Safe for that matter. It starts out as an alarm. When you leave your home, you arm it. When it's armed and a sensor is tripped or detects motion, the alarm goes off. When that happens, the cops are called. Now that's a quick summary. There are a few steps in there that I skipped, so let's talk about some of the details. First, your alarm has 3 modes: disarmed, home, and away. Now home and away are the armed states, and you can customize which sensors are associated with either state, however you want to set it. Maybe in home mode, you don't need the motion sensors armed inside the house, but you want the entry sensors armed because that's the mode you use when you go to bed. In away, perhaps everything is armed because nobody's home. Then when a sensor is tripped, your alarm goes off. Just like alarms that came before it, the Wyze will beep for a predetermined entry delay, which gives you the time to disarm it if you just arrived home. Then it's game on. If you don't disarm it, Noonlight, the service which is monitoring, will contact you. First, with a text. If you do not respond, they will then call you. If no answer or you cannot verify your identity, emergency services are dispatched. And when you verify your identity, it's just like any other alarm system that came before it. You need to provide your safe word. This is a word you choose when you set up the system, and you are able to remember and pronounce clearly in a high-stress situation. If you cannot repeat your safe word, the cops are coming. Now, I mentioned Noonlight, and let's talk about them for a moment. Unlike some other home security systems, Wyze is able to keep the costs down here by partnering with Noonlight, a nationwide modern platform for professional security monitoring and law enforcement dispatching. The monitoring center they use is UL listed, TMA 5 Diamond certified, and bidirectionally redundant, which means something. I mean, I don't know. Those were just words to me. All I know is they will call the cops. Price, of course, is one thing to consider, but how does the system perform? Well, first, this is a DIY install system, so you need to be sure you install all the sensors according to the instructions and in the most appropriate areas that you want monitored in your house. Secondly, it's really simple, guys. The base station can use Wi-Fi, so you can place it anywhere in your house. I have mine set up right behind me. And the sensors are a cinch to install also, with included double-sided tape, and they even included batteries. In this case, double and AAA, so sourcing replacements should be a piece of cake. Setting it up is also dead simple, but be sure you read everything carefully. When you purchase the system, you will also receive an email separately with an activation code that you will need to activate your professional monitoring. Now, arming and disarming is as simple and effective as you might think. You can do this from either the app or the keypad, and the effect is exactly the same. Only you might require a PIN code on the keypad if you set it up this way. Now, I did have an issue where my system disarmed itself while I was away, and I could not rearm it. This was strange to me, to say the least. Now, upon further investigation, it appears that this was either an app malfunction or just a communication issue, as when I returned home, I tripped a sensor because it was indeed still armed. Now, that only happened once, so I'm not too concerned at this point. The base station, which also emits the siren, is very loud, and you can control the volume. You should play with placement in your house to make sure you get the right effect and deter intruders, but I had no issues hearing it. Again, it can use your Wi-Fi, so it just needs power, so place it in the best spot centrally in your house. The exit and entry delays are also loud and completely customizable. These, again, are the delays you give yourself to either get out once you armed it or disarm the system once you have re-entered. Now, the key here, guys, and this is awesome, you can put this thing into test mode, which means it will non-contact anyone if the alarm goes off. Useful to let you get used to how to operate the thing, or to let you fine-tune your entry or exit delays. Then you can take it out of test mode at any time. A subtle feature, but a very useful one, especially for anyone that didn't previously own an alarm system. Like me, I never had an alarm system on my house, and it took me some getting used to this one, remembering to arm it and especially remembering to disarm it once I got home. I got home one time and immediately let my dog out and tripped a sensor, but wasn't close to the keypad to disarm it. In no time at all, I got a text, and before I could type my complete answer, my phone was already ringing. The noon line operator, who was very professional, identified herself and asked me if emergency services were required. After I answered, she promptly asked for my safe word to verify my identity and then canceled my alarm. Now, a couple things here. They were very prompt. I mean, as soon as the alarm started sounding, my phone was buzzing. There was no hesitation in them contacting me. It was also a good test of my safe word because even though it was not an emergency situation, I was tested to see if I remembered it or the cops were coming, guys. There is a big downside to this experience though, one you should take note of especially. My phone number is the only one on the account. There can only be one. So I am the only one who will be contacted if an alarm were to go off. Say I wasn't even home and my wife did the same thing and then Noonlight contacted me about the alarm. I would be in a pickle as I couldn't easily call my wife to then verify while I'm still on the phone with emergency dispatchers. This to me isn't a deal breaker. Something probably easily manageable with good family communication, but something you should know if you purchase the system. Okay, that's a lot about emergency response part of the system, and honestly, it seems great. But what about the app? Like I said, you can arm and disarm the system from right within the app, same as you can from the keypad. All the settings are in there as well. Your entry and exit delays, and you can customize your home and away modes and even change your safe word and PIN. Extremely user-friendly, no instructions necessary. I'm sure everyone will have no problem figuring all of that out. There is a monitoring events section, but this only shows alarm events, when things were armed, disarmed, or triggered. Don't get this section confused with the Events tab at the bottom of the main app, which shows you your camera events. Cameras, which you do associate with your home monitoring service, do have their own section, but there seems to be no association of an event video when an alarm event occurs. So it takes a few taps to figure out if you have any video footage when someone broke in, for example. I'm hoping they update this in the future to make this connection a little more user-friendly. So far, overall, my experience has been good. I actually really like having this system, and you can't beat the price. Literally, for $5 a month, there's almost nothing cheaper out there in terms of professionally home monitored security systems. It does have some limitations though. Only one account has access, can receive alerts and get texts or calls in the event of an alarm. There's also no cellular backup. This uses your Wi-Fi and your internet connection. So there is no backup in the case that your home might have lost power or just loses internet connection. Now that's not a deal breaker for me, but it is for some people. For me, these things don't occur often enough to really be a problem. In its current state, you cannot monitor multiple locations. Your account is limited to one system, and that's for now. Wyze has stated that this is something that may be offered in the future, likely with a different pricing model. And lastly, if you have any of the WyzeSense V1 sensors in your home, those are not compatible with the security system. You will have to purchase the new V2 sensors to use with the security system. Now, I will say those V1 sensors will communicate with the system. I have them set up that way, but they will not trigger any security events when the system is armed. That's the key. Which brings me to some of the new stuff. I have the starter bundle, which goes for $100, but when you buy it, you can now add more sensors to customize it to your needs and your house. The extra sensors aren't too expensive either. So you can purchase new entry and exit sensors and motion sensors fairly cheap. Wyze has also already added new capability, as you can pre-order their leak sensors and temperature sensors to add to your system as well. And by the looks of it, we can expect to see more features in the future, which makes me think the subscription price probably will go up as features are added. And how do I know features are going to be added? Well, that's another thing you should know, because this is a professionally home monitored security system, and you may be eligible for an insurance discount. I got $37 back from my home insurance provider just for having it installed. Let's do the math. If I had paid the $60 at release for the bundle, which came with 1 year subscription, minus the $37 I got back from my insurance, I would have only paid a net $23 for 1 year's worth of professional home monitoring. All you need to do is send your insurance provider a certificate from Wyze, which you can request from right within the app. You don't even need to talk to a human. But look at mine. Look at this. Burglary and trespass is checked. But there's more listed there, which makes me think Wyze has expansion plans. Oh, and it comes with one Camm Plus license to use with any one of your cameras. I didn't want to forget to mention that. That adds to the value of the system. In the end, I like the system, and for the price, it's super easy to justify, especially with that insurance discount. We'll see how I feel when I get my first bill to renew my subscription, and if that price has changed or not. Hey, thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.